Damn, son, where'd you find this?
Before he was the face of professional wrestling, Hulk Hogan was a professional guitar player and baseball pitching prospect. He made his wrestling debut in Florida in 1977. Just 2 years later, the wrestling world would be introduced to Hulk Hogan. The Hulk won his first world title in 1985, pinning the Iron Sheik at Madison Square Garden. Hogan skyrocketed to fame and Hulkamania was born, ushering in the 1980s wrestling boom. In the mid-90s, Hogan would join a competing wrestling organization, Ted Turner's World Championship Wrestling, reinventing himself as a villain. Outside the ring, Hogan's fame included scandal, admitted steroid use, and an unauthorized sex tape that led to a legal battle and an award of millions. A WWE Hall of Famer, he returned to the ring in 2014, hosting WrestleMania 30 and celebrating his 61st birthday. Colorful and charismatic, Hulk Hogan will be remembered as a larger-than-life personality and a pop culture icon.
4:10 a.m. today, Clearwater Fire and Rescue along with the Clearwater Police Department responded to a house in the 1000 block of El Dorado Avenue for a medical-related call. It was discovered at that time Terry Bollea, also known as Hulk Hogan, was experiencing a serious medical-related issue. Personnel provided medical treatment at that time and transported Mr. Bollea to Morton Plant Hospital, where he died at 11:17 a.m. The Clearwater Police Department is conducting a death investigation, which is standard in these types of cases. There are no signs of foul play or suspicious activity related to this call for service.
Peace, blessings, glory, praise, and honor to the Most High. Happy Thursday, people. Happy Thursday. I know it's a lot to take in. I still am a loss for words. It's been a very, very disruptive week, a very busy one in the spiritual and in the natural. I'm fortunate enough to be in the presence of a creator so merciful that I can have this conversation with you guys. I'm grateful enough that I have someone with me today that's going to join in this discussion, this celebration over the late, great Hulk Hogan. Shout out to my poets, writers, content creators. Let me bring this brother up. I'm going to let him introduce himself. And then we're going to proceed on with the show. I do want to give a moment of silence for Hogan, if we could. All right, brother, if you in the building, talk to me. Let's chat a bit.
Hey, what's up, world? It is I, Night Star. I'm an artist, illustrator of the past professionally 15 years, working independently, producing art for print, signature products, publication. I work with musicians and artists in designing their brand and intellectual property for sale commercially and other private promotions, a bunch of other stuff, new artists for the new age. And my friend here and I are kind of thought patriots here. So, you know, more importantly, let's focus on the subject here, on the passing of the late great Hulk Hogan. You might know him if you do or do not watch wrestling. He is one of, if not the most recognizable wrestler in all the world, from here to Japan. Even. Bright orange and ketchup red. We know him for tearing the shirt off, Hulkmania. As the intro outlined his bio, he was born Terry Bollea out of Georgia, and he was a resident of Florida, where I'm based in South Florida. He's in Clearwater, just up north, and he started in 1977, whereas I started watching wrestling around 1990, 1991 when I was younger on TV, and I knew him in his early career, kind of his second wave, and he was then what we would know him as a good guy, Mr. America type of deal. So yeah, the news that hit us today was sudden. I knew he was in declining health over the years. It comes with age and the type of pace of the work he was doing. He had instances in film and television. A lot of this I'm outlining because I have my own personal memories from experiencing Hulkmania myself, not necessarily personally in the show at the arena at WrestleMania, but like maybe much of you at home playing the video games and watching wrestling on TV and remembering those eras that we had in pop culture with NWO and WCW. The cultural impact is absolutely remarkable, and he was known as a bold and boisterous guy. And with songs like I'm a Real American, couldn't be any more patriotic. There's something that was a theme song for me, coming from an immigrant family, that the lyrics to that song really spoke to what the spirit of being American was. But yeah, whenever a person is great, notably as great as this person, passes on, whether you liked him, whether you hated him, you definitely have to respect the impact. What do you guys say to that, D?
My uncle introduced me to WWF around 88, 89.
Mm-hmm. About when I was born, 88.
And I thought the world of world of wrestling, man.
Yeah.
I thought that was that. I thought that was the end game. I thought that was the beginning of something great. I was glued from the moment that I was fixated on the character development, the storylines, the gimmicks.
Mm-hmm.
There was something special about it back then versus what it is today.
Right, whole separate.
Right. And Hogan was no different than like television staples like Bill
Mm-hmm.
Cosby, so on and so forth. If you're really thinking about the type of impact that these people had, whether or not you looked at it as staged or whatever,
Yeah.
he still had this image that he upheld,
Right.
and it was a positive one.
Yeah.
This is before we knew about politics and all that other stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Right, as a kid, right?
Right. So I'm like ripping my trying to. I could I ain't gonna hold you. I couldn't
I
do.
never
I couldn't
figured out
do.
how he did that.
Yeah,
Because
right.
that is not easy.
I would get my ass whooped trying to rip shirts. You couldn't like we couldn't afford to just buy.
Nah, it couldn't just be tossing shirts like that. He did it every match.
Right. So I wanted to be Hogan. I wanted to eat the Wheaties, even though the cereal was disgusting. It didn't have no sugar or nothing to it. I wanted to be positive. I wanted to stand up for what is right, and
That's right.
That's what I always loved about Hogan. You know,
Mm-hmm.
it was just a nostalgic time, man.
Yeah.
I really wish we could go back one time in life,
Wow.
but we can't. But
You can't, man. And on the topic of nostalgia, like I immediately remember those times around 93 to 98 for me. Like when I started watching wrestling, when I was a little kid, my homeboy, I used to go to his house all the time. His name was Nick. My mom would have me dropped off over there down the street. And we would just have the TV on. You know, you got Power Rangers, you know, Saturday morning cartoons, and you got the Kung Fu after in the afternoon, and then you got wrestling. So it was like that was a rotation on public access. At least I didn't have cable until I moved to Miami in '95. So my early childhood is what was broadcast across the country, and wrestling was that major block. People would tune in at night, or you know, they have revolutions on it. My personally, my biggest wrestler was Tatanka, and that was in the era of Yokozuna and Doink and Lex Luger, the Chaos Twins, and Ultimate Warrior and Shawn Michaels and Bret Michaels and Owen Hart, and like all of these characters. Again, for growing up and not having my father in my life, you always looked for some kind of relation across the board. Naturally speaking, somebody who was like you, older, speaking to, you know, because they both literally could see over you, see further, and knew in the years well ahead. These were like icons of strength. And in my youth, I liked a lot of Greco-Roman myth and legend, like Hercules and Perseus. And you know, I remember watching the Clash of the Titans and stuff as a kid. The fantastic stories of bravery, courage, and like they would see the monster and they wouldn't run, they would go chase him. So watching wrestling was kind of that being acted out. And you know, as we got older and the world itself evolved, our consciousness taking it for what we were looking at. You know, being a drama, if you will, it still had that impact that we were watching the story unfold. You can't shake it when you grow up like that. Hulk Hogan turned from that and then got into movies and back to the TV thing. One show I really remember growing up was Thunder in Paradise. I watched that before I moved to Miami. So I never saw a boat until I saw on that show, this speedboat. And him and the other dude were going these like, man, I'm thinking of just like how cool it was, because they would just be like, oh, it's time to ride out and get in this boat, and it would like transform. Which a person like me that's, you know, about design, I love cars and just the mechanics and how this is poetry to me. Seeing something like that transform and change shape and pop out this, it was like spy novel, and he's fighting like counterterrorism, and I was just like, it was like borderline too exciting for me, because like it was just like I'm getting hyperactive just thinking about it. And he would come out there with the machine gun, you know, he's saving the day, and it was just incredible, you know, just iconoclastic, like distinctly American, modern myth type thing. He was the face of that, and I saw him as like really the good guy, like for years and that. And then following that was Suburban Commando. I seen that a bunch of times. Even when it was just out of theaters. Yeah, yo, I love that. Love that movie. Because I saw it a million times when it was on Stars, or was it Encore? They had the little double package back in the day, and they would just repeat it throughout the day. And I mean, that's a great movie. I forgot who else was in it. I want to say, I don't want to say that, because I don't know if Christopher Lloyd was in it as the father, but he comes from outer space. So Hulk Hogan comes from outer space, and he adopts this family, and he tries to fit in, and he's like this big burly dude with a laser gun. You know, I remember the scene where they stop up at the stoplight, and all the other cars stop up, and the guy looking next door, and he's this loser. Everybody else beats him at the light. And then at the end of the movie, they revisit the scene, and now he's got confidence and saved his family and all this stuff. He comes to the light again, and he takes out the laser gun and he shoots the light. Like, I could take control of my life. And again, that heroism is just like, that's a time I feel, I don't want to say it's completely lost, but like we say, it's a different time now. We don't really have people that stand on such virtues. So probably everybody seems, I want to say, more realistic, because no one's perfect, right? No one's perfect. And that really tells that the latter half of his career, no one's perfect. When he changed his persona, Hollywood Hogan, he changed it to like the heel. And that divided everybody, divided me and my friends. Like my birthday party, we played WCW versus ECW on the N64. I just got the N64 and I had no games. Somebody came with that game. That was the first game I ever played on the N64. And we were already politicking, like, nah, we ain't gonna. And I already had Razor. I liked Razor Ramon, and seeing Razor Ramon on the bad guys team, can't tell you how that made me feel. Because I'm like, I ain't playing no bad guy, dog. Like I love Razor Ramon. Yeah, I ain't gonna do that to myself. So, to see such a character, as I just kind of gave you some broad brushstrokes, such a character. He was even in Rocky 3. So that's huge. Like cultural icon through and through. Just amazing. We lived in a time to experience, and just to be very thankful and saying, we knew about him and we could tell future generations what it was like to watch him in the ring, watch him in these movies. Again, I'm reliving watching Thunder in Paradise with the guitar solo, and it was just, I could hyperventilate just watching that because it was so exciting. They just don't make things like that anymore. They really don't.
One thing that I want to put out there too is you really don't know what you got until you don't have it anymore. And let's be clear. You said it, and I'm gonna reiterate. Nobody's perfect. We've all had our dark days. We've all been in that unflattering light before. It's not fun, but we're human. And it's like we expect perfection out of entertainers or people that we look up to or look to in a specific way. And when you find out that it's not what you imagined it to be, you kind of damper your spirit a little bit. But I had to realize at some point, the older I got, that no, they're just people just like us, and then I'll say I embraced wrestling. I was really a kid to a certain degree. Like when they tell you as an adult to enjoy your childhood, that portion of my life, I definitely enjoyed it. And I'm talking about Raw, SmackDown, Monday,
SmackDown.
Saturday Night Heat, Sunday Night Heat, all that. I was there. I was in front of that TV, yelling, screaming, performing my own moves, even though they said don't try it at home.
I totally tried it at home.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
Totally tried it at home.
Just like I don't even watch wrestling now.
Likewise.
Because things just change too much. As far as I'm concerned, everything that we had is never going to happen again.
Gone.
Y'all can have this.
Sure.
We had the best era as far as I'm concerned. By far.
Yeah. And I won't say any less.
Yeah.
Totally.
So I'm just thinking like, dang, man. I'm just humble. I'm humble because I got to actually wake up and go to sleep to just imagine for a second. 8 o'clock hits, 9 o'clock hits, Raw comes
SmackDown is on.
And then the music, the glass breaks, Stone Cold Steve Austin comes out, The Rock comes out,
Goldberg,
you know what I'm saying? Like the
Kurt Angle.
The writing,
gonna get his daily drop.
Yes. The energy was different, bro. The energy, you were hyped as soon as the fireworks and all that came on.
Amazing spectacle. Yeah.
It wasn't even Michael Cole, and it was JR. It was Jerry.
JR.
We're about to have a slobber knocker. Puppies.
Mike Lawler. Come on, man. Like these people, like it's hard for me to wrap a vocabulary around describing what it was like, because it almost sounds like we are back in ancient Greece describing people that there's no way that person could have been a real character. No. And what's amazing, like, again, blessed that we have video and we could show that. One of my favorites, of course, is Macho Man Randy Savage. Like, that was a guy that, like, I would shed a tear because he made me feel so inspired, and he looking right at you, you know, and he's like, you know, giving you, again, something you didn't have anybody literally physically around you to tell you. Sometimes you really needed to hear that. And that's what these people represented to us. Even if they were just playing a role, it was a very powerful role, you know, very influential. I mean, I'm reading like Andre the Giant. His match with Andre the Giant was about 3 months before I was born. And I knew of Andre the Giant, you know, just as he passed away. And that another tall, literally tall giant in the wrestling annals of history, Andre the Giant, you know, galvanized Hulk Hogan's career. You know, you talk about iron sharpens iron right there.
Yeah.
That's greatness doing the handoff. And Andre the Giant was huge in the 70s. For kids who grew up in the 70s and 80s, Andre the Giant was there, Hulk Hogan. And, you know, that handoff to Hulk Hogan now being our Andre the Giant, and the cast of characters around Hulk Hogan through the late 80s and early 90s, for me, like, that was the center of my life. We talk about SmackDown, notably, I used to watch that with my uncle when I go up to Canada. I had my grandmother live in Ottawa, rest in peace to her. And whenever he would come back from a long day of work, and it's like ready to watch some SmackDown, because we were on it to watch what Goldberg's undefeated season was gonna look like. So we in the chair, we going crazy, and we waiting for the spear to come out, and we like, it's a daily beatdown of Kurt Angle. How many did he win? Like 60, 70 undefeated, and we literally counting them off. One more time, bam. One more, bam. Put him in the canvas one more time. Like every night, it was just like, and he did it again, and we weren't bored. That sort of stuff. It seems like played out now. That it feels like for me to approach some kind of whimsy for individuals younger than I to understand. It seems like it was, you know, poo-pooed out of them. Like they can't be. It's like we won't be fooled about that. But it's like, even though I knew better, and me and my uncle, which is a cherished memory between he and I, you know, that's family and all. Watching that at my grandmother's house all that summer, I'll never forget that. So these people played in the, you know, events in our lives that like will go on and on and on and on for history. So we pay our respects to somebody that really was just that impactful.
See, to me, it wasn't even about, oh, wrestling is fake. Yeah. I mean, I got that part.
Didn't even faze me.
Yeah, the thing is, I didn't care.
I didn't care either. That was like, that's TV.
Yeah, like, I'm not the one that's sitting up here paying electric bills. I'm not paying for gas, insurance. I'm just a kid that's enjoying what's being put in front of me. And you got to love what you're doing to a certain extent to be able to do what they did and sell it. Like, I used to think that the Undertaker was the Undertaker. Like, he actually took souls and decided where they go and all that shit.
Eyes roll in the back of his head, pull him out in the coffin. Oh my God, I just remember the drama that it was like a multi-tiered, like it was, okay, the equivalent would be like Dragon Ball Z. You tune in and it's like another installment of this. They're giving you a heart palpitation because you're on the edge of your seat. You're like, what's going to happen next? And oh my God, and we go to school. And here's the thing, back then, you go to school, that's all we talked about. We would talk about what we watched on TV the night before. Did you see the? Yeah, and then you saw, and then you hearing what your homeboy thinks, and you hearing what this other guy thinks, and you didn't like what this guy thought because then he's saying, and he picked this side, and now it's like, yeah, I don't like this because he thought what Doink was doing was cool, or like, you know, he thought Shawn Michaels was right doing that. Like, well, I don't like that dude. Like, now I gotta, you know, I don't like that dude. I don't like how he tried to play my homeboy like that. And this was schoolyard politics. It truly was. It really was. So credit to him. And then, like, other characters around him, like, I'm literally passing my mind and thinking, man, those guys were amazing. Yokozuna, amazing. Amazing people, dude. Like, just incredible figures. See them on TV, glistening with sweat. Like, even no matter what their physique was, it was like they were a sculpture, like frozen in time, like as they were. Hulk Hogan as he was, just bulging out of his boots. Like, you know what I'm saying? And you're like, how did he get to that level? And it's amazing. And the cultural impact across the world, I can only imagine. In Japan, it was huge. Huge. Like, just incredible person. So yeah, it's been quite a week, man. Quite a week to see the figures that we all at least throw a name at. You know, Ozzy Osbourne, Malcolm Jamal Warner, now Hulk Hogan, and Chuck Mangione earlier this year. I've long since this to people younger than me. All my heroes are dead. All my heroes are dead. But I don't say that to be negative. I mean, they're all immortal. You can't take them away from me. I could tell you stories about them when they were alive and I was there experiencing it, but you have no equivalent. Like, I know you have no equivalent. You're still on the first page of a book that you don't even know how you're going to write the rest of it. While I was in the middle of my 15th chapter, it was so exciting. I could take every event and splinter it off into its own book. And now I'm looking at a library of stories. You know, that's time. That's time for us, you know? So it's amazing we got to live through that. And shout out to everybody else out there watching this, hearing our voices, thinking about their own personal memories, watching it with your fam, watching it with your friends, literally run into the TV because we didn't have DVRs. And if you had a VHS, I couldn't figure out how to tape a TV show until after 2002. So it's too difficult. It's trying to set the clock on it even. It was like, we didn't even bother with that. So we had to watch it. And everything, every moment, the commercials even, the bumpers, everything was just, let's just say, iconic. Just lasting impact. You know what I mean, D?
There was no, you didn't want to miss anything. I'm gonna put it to you like this: the Intercontinental, the Cruiserweight, the Lightweight, the Tag Team division, every division was pay-per-view ready. Every field had something for you, and it was like, if you missed even a day and you went back to school, you just out of the conversation.
Yeah, we didn't have internet like that, so it was literally nowhere you were gonna get that information.
The internet, social media ruined it for me. It honestly, because they had a certain magic. We knew it wasn't real, but they kept so much from us that we had to try to figure out what was going to happen next week. Oh, is Stone Cold going to get back at Bret Hart? Is Bret Hart going to get back? What?
Exactly.
They tell you everything now. It's like, man, I don't even. What's the point of me even watching now? Like, I know who's going to win. I know how the storyline is going to go. It's like, yeah. So back then, it was something that you could never ever duplicate. I don't care what they do now. I know Triple H is trying his best right now, but even Triple H, no, there's no replicating that. When Owen Hart, I watched that match.
When he fell,
I seen it live in this room.
That was scarring. Yeah, that was scarring. That was pretty traumatic, because you didn't, at that age, I didn't know what I was looking at. I was like you're confused, because it was like, you see the setup coming from the ceiling and with the the robe, and you're like, here come the entrance. So your energy is going rising with it as it planned, and then suddenly dropped, and you saw it. You saw it. You just saw it, and then the next day we got all the news about it, and again it was like the fall of a Greek hero.
Bro, they didn't even stop the pay-per-view. They just kept going.
People kept walking around it, and the paramedics jumping in. And,
that shit was crazy.
Sad. And he was a good dude. He was really a good dude. Like, you know what I mean? Like he was more like positive, and he talked directly to the kids, like Macho Man would, like talking directly to the youth and saying like, "I'm fighting for you" type story, And damn, this is bringing me a little back to those feelings, because it's like you losing a hero, and you wish you could get in and save him so he could last a little bit longer and give a feeling like he gave you hope when you were a little kid and you got to fight the bully. What's the thing you thinking in your head? The strongest people you knew, and you put that in your mind. And sometimes that's all the encouragement you need. There ain't nobody gonna tell you in life generally what you need to hear. Those were those archetypes. You could say, you know what? That's an example. Somebody doing it. So I'm gonna go. If this bully gonna fight, you bulk up and you go out there, and at least you have enough confidence. You won't even feel nothing. You just be pure energy. Again, that was a different time. Right? Social media. Now we have 50 different pundits on every second of the match, giving you analytics that I just want to watch the match. Right. I want to have space for my own opinions, and I can't form that. So it's a different world. It's a totally different world, man.
Yeah. One of the main reasons why I wanted to do this is because of the number of deaths that's happened. This is just back to back, and it makes you really sit down, shut your mouth, close your ears off and your eyes off from the world, and reevaluate your own life.
Absolutely.
You think that you're in control? You think that you can live forever? You beat the system? Did you figure out how to outlive everybody? Because clearly Muhammad Ali hasn't. Hogan didn't. Rest in peace. Bam Bam Bigelow.
Whoa, see? You see?
Like the names
Bam Bam Bigelow. When was the last time you heard that in a conversation?
Right.
You know what I mean? These people pass on, and their names is like an invocation of a spirit that's just there, like never forgotten. You never know, man. These people in life, this experience we're sharing, it makes it all greater to us. Again, like you never know when your time's going, especially like Malcolm Jamal Warner passing right at the top of this week. And I immediately thought of Chadwick Boseman and how he up and passed away, same thing. They look young, doing their thing, height of success. They ain't in no lawsuit. They ain't in no bickering match on social media with nobody. They just doing their thing and then gone. And then when you think of them again, really think of them as we see. One thing about social media, when people are reminded about something and they look into it and they see how much cross sections they got with this person, and they're like, well, this person really was impactful, really was a big deal. And it only seems to me more apparent on social media than it did before social media, that I feel for the younger generation. I think to them, that's the only way of legitimacy, rather than we grew up every step of the way knowing how important that person was. It was in our face out in the street. But here it's like you gotta, you're looking on your social media and you're seeing all of these posts of Warren and stuff like that. If it incites curiosity, it's all there. It's like I say, it's history. You could read that. You could watch that now. We were living it, and we knew how important these people were. You remember when Iron Sheik passed away, and he took that rivalry to the grave. So you'll never forget those matches. You'll never forget this man's accent and his importance to the whole. Again, it took me a long time to call the WWE from the WWF. Yeah, I did not appreciate that name change, even if it was for the World Wildlife Fund. I don't care. I don't care. I'll still say the WWF with the big embossed, steel with the F. Man, and see that logo, I was like, ooh, and that's reminiscent of. And then you got what happened in the arena on the weekends. Sunday, monster truck jam, and you got like Bigfoot and Gravedigger, like that. All of that mixed in a pot was wrestling and monster trucks and NASCAR was. I ate that. I love that. That was a really nice soup right there. All of that is the same energy, and it's totally not the same anymore. I really don't know what to say to kids these days. Where's that energy at in y'all? Where is it? Where is it? We don't have figures that even are brave enough to come out like that for fear of being canceled. What is that? Canceled? Like, you can't cancel me. Can't cancel Hulk Hogan, even in his days. Can't cancel him, man. It's a legend.
That kind of transitions over to what I was about to get at, because once we got to 2002, 2001, it was a wrap.
Yeah.
The wrestling business that we knew was over. We were transitioning to the PG era. Everything's about to be friendly and cuddly, and you weren't about to see the Cat and Tori Wilson doing pudding matches and all that no more. You weren't about to see blood and all. That was already leaving.
The razor blades.
Right. So, this is where I started to question how long would I be watching at this point. Benoit did what he did, and I'm like, so Benoit does what he does after Eddie Guerrero.
Dang, and then that's Eddie Guerrero,
and like
living fast, bro.
The shit is crazy, man.
Understatement.
Then you started to get the cheat sheet. You started getting YouTube and all these other places telling you, oh, this match is going to happen, or this ain't happened because this happened, and this person got arrested because of this, and all that stuff started coming out slowly, and it's like, oh man, I'm starting to get turned off by it. I'm still hanging on by a thread, but it's like, I was already turned off by the WWE thing. Like, I'm with you, bro. I can't stand
that. Was the weirdest thing. I'm like, wait, why did y'all change the name? Like, I was just like, so, but why did you change it? I still don't understand. Why did they have to change the name? And it was a legal bout, but still, why? It's exasperating because it's like, do you know how huge WWF the logo? You remember going into an arcade and seeing the arcade games, how that was embossed. Like I said, I even gave you an example of it in monster trucks. Bigfoot's logo is inspired by that metal, like, embossment look. Like, that I think of WrestleMania. I think of WWF back then. I gotta say WWF because I know what I'm talking about when I say WWF. WWE sounds like it's been neutered and it's been, they cut its balls off. And yeah, it was 2002, and we want to say largely it was to deal with 9/11. Of course, that was an instance where everybody here in America woke up, like, hey, whoa, there's a bigger world out there, and everything in, everything out was hard divide. Everything, the music, culture like that changed. So, it's amazing. I'm can't believe that was 24 years ago. A whole person ago. You know, it's like I was in middle school, and to think how much in culture has changed is notable, and one to be grateful to experience if you're living in this time, aware of. It's notable. The Rock was coming up. I remember playing was it SmackDown for N64? And you had Goldust in there, you had Sting, and you had Mankind, you had Kane. You see, I'm old school, thinking like these guys are still relevant to me and they haven't wrestled in years, but that's how impactful all of this stuff was. Man, like, even looking up this stuff is like,
Yeah, man.
years
Throughout history, throughout time, throughout the ups and downs, the challenges, you got to take the good with the bad. And as much as I loved seeing Hulk Hogan give the leg drop to Yokozuna and Lex Luger body slam him, and the match that I will always remember is Hogan versus Ultimate Warrior.
Wow. Yeah. Wow.
Like, if you
Ultimate Warrior, bro.
if you weren't there, I'm sorry for you. Fortunately enough, you could. I would rather watch from start to ending of where I was introduced to wrestling. I can watch that all over again before I turn to this right now.
I don't even know what they're doing now.
I don't even.
It's like a podcast. I have no idea what they're doing now. Like on a stage, a sound stage now, because live events. I could be real with you. I have it off camera here. I did some AV work, audiovisual work with a friend of mine and his company. We did a regional wrestling event. Did the sound and audio for that a couple of years ago, and I got to see Roddy Piper there in person, which was really cool to see in person. So it's again, it's still going on, but it's a whole new crowd and a whole new business. I don't know where the flag, the signal was risen to say, hey, like this is something that has to be at this production level, and dispelling all of the business secrets and the drama, and it just Hollywoodified. I don't have another word for that. There's no elegance in the suspension of disbelief in that sequence. There's no elegance in it. Like, you're watching a movie, you're playing a video game, you're reading a book, and the entertainment there is being dragged back by something that is countering it, so then you don't entirely feel catharsis to it. Like I said, these figures in wrestling to us then, and I don't remember, they wouldn't have really benefited from social media because they didn't really need it. They went out there with their fans, and they went out to these cities, and they sat in the bars, and they made face-to-face hand-to-hand. They had to be a person. And now all that just seems like facade. I couldn't get into it if they tried to sell it to me. It doesn't seem believable. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they've long but strayed away from what works. And I've had this conversation before with my partner when he would get up here and be so enthusiastic about wrestling now, and I would always say, I don't know how you still get excited about this, bro. It's not
right.
It's not what it was when we were watching
At all.
And I think this is more or less for a different generation, and anyone who is still going is taking their children to it. I could never, if I was going to introduce anybody to wrestling, I would take them all the way back to where I was shown, so that you could really truly appreciate it. The writing, the people, you had to be very particular about who played a specific role, which is why Hogan, even though the you said it or you alluded to it, the not so friendly things about his career path took a turn.
Yeah.
Like it or not, he nobody else could have been Hogan.
No, no one.
Just like nobody else could be Undertaker or
Ric Flair,
Rock, Ric Flair, Earthquake.
Diamond Dallas Page,
Right.
Sting, like they were all very unique. And this is again like these iconic. Like I just don't see anything, even in music today, where people are embraced as individuals. You know what I mean? Like multifaceted and not just interesting, but like they came out as themselves and hard to imitate. Like very hard to imitate without not only looking awkward, but like you don't have those features in that arrangement with that color combo in the way he's talking. And every time you try, you're going to look just like him. We don't have a contingent of society. And I felt that as a kid, that felt like these are individuals. These are individual people that looked at the trends in society and was like, that's cool, but it's not me. And it made it cool for me to embrace myself as an individual. We don't have that kind of, I feel like there's just no venue to encouraging people to really be themselves. It's always some level of capitulation. You have to give up yourself immediately at 17, 18 years old before you even know who you are, before you have tried different things and built yourself out of your interest to be yourself, to carry your own name. Now it's whatever path to the money. Run the course, and everybody run the course. Nobody is trying to ruffle no feathers, and it seems heavier, even more so. People are aping into it to be conforming into, you know, whatever is a broad appeal. Wrestling is not even mainstream, even though it has diehard fans. It's not mainstream. It's not something that it comes on like in typical discussion, and everybody's like, "That's it." It's if it's a niche, makes you look like some deviant or something. So it worked itself out of relevance. You know, it just doesn't have these personalities. Like, and look at The Rock. The Rock is an example of somebody who had this personality in wrestling, and then he transitioned into films and entertainment, and it's kind of like, that's just a thing I did. You know what I'm saying? It's no longer a cultural tent pole. It's not like a big, you know what I mean? I don't know how else to explain that. It's not its own thing that if you were into it, you could speak to it as it's major, like a country, like a place you visit has its own food and vernacular and stuff. It doesn't feel like that. A lot of things don't feel like that.
This might be an unpopular opinion, but I gotta say it. I don't think that there are many wrestlers that can transition into the movie industry. Just because you're good at what you do in the wrestling ring, does that mean that's going to translate in Hollywood? Something about that always felt kind of cringe to me.
Lack of a better term. But
Yeah.
that's what I'm saying. In that time, these were individuals. It seemed like, yeah, they were wrestlers, but if they had more personality to spare, you wanted to see that person if they weren't in the ring. Where else could they be? I mean, Suburban Commando, even though it wasn't like a great, notable movie, I remember it, and it was fun. It was fun to watch, and and Thunder in Paradise, again, the theme song, in and of itself was its own experience. And there were shows like Viper, if you remember Viper, and I'm a big car fan. Seeing the Dodge Viper in that show, like that was, you know, like so iconic that they don't make people like that no more. When people do something now, they're so about it and they blend into it. Yeah, like it would seem like, why are you do wrestling? You can't act. You can't. We'll typecast you. You can't dance. You can't do all these things. And if you manage to, you know, somehow tie it all together and become a multifaceted artist, you're under so much pressure because on each of those venues you have an industry to feed. It doesn't seem humanly possible to me personally. It doesn't seem like an individual these days has the wherewithal to be pulled in so many directions as in comparison to people of Hulk Hogan's status back then. You were it. You were the one and only beacon of it. Yeah, that to me makes it even more legendary. We just don't have people of that stature, you know, of that just greatness. We just don't have it in one person without intense scrutiny and derision. Like we are more likely to go online every step of the way, every little breath this person takes. We're adjusting that character, so no matter how confident they get, we are going to keep them as this one little thing. No matter what they do, they would have to be Superman and fly in the air and pluck a 747 out. They have to do something incredible, and even then we'll criticize it and downplay it because the crowd, everybody in the crowd nowadays has their own insecurities. Again, each of these guys were heroes, man. Like, just, you know what I mean? Like, I could be like, I wish there was more people like that, so that we had positive, positive role models, truly positive role models. Can you think of any positive role models nowadays at all?
The thing, right, that makes this bittersweet is because during his later years, the racist comments that he
Get to that.
made, yeah.
I didn't want to do that.
I was trying to, like, I mean, I like to burst bubbles.
I'm trying not to do that.
if we're gonna celebrate that man's life, we gotta do all of it.
Okay, all right. Well, this is the part of the show where we're gonna take off these gloves and put the ones with the rocks in it, and then we're gonna beat into the ground. Make sure he's buried. All right, hang on to your seats.
Look, I'm not trying to disrespect.
I know you're not. It's history. I know you're not.
We just need to we need to understand that people are human, and
that's right.
For like, there's different stages in your life where you're not going to be the best person in somebody else's eyes.
True.
You could have been an asshole for 5 years, and then something happened, and you converted and you changed, and now you're a great human being with a heart of gold. But before that, nobody wanted to be around your crazy.
Mm-hmm.
You know, everybody goes through it, and I think that's why I said earlier, we look at people a certain way and expect so much from them that when they let you down, it's like, damn.
Yeah.
But
again, I think that talks to our age, because I see it quite the opposite nowadays. People are already at that understanding what realism is, much younger than I did, or at least at an age I was not fully aware of to accept. So I don't want to say, hey, like, maybe it was just the state of the world we were growing up in to believe that and feel like we would accept and tolerate the worst of people and accept the betterment of humanity and everybody, making us look, unrealistically optimistic. Yeah, people were, could start out terrible, doing practical jokes and, really mean-spirited things, and something happens and it shocks, wakes them up, and, they turn a new leaf. Now they're practicing tolerance and, doing all the things. You're like, where was this person when, you were building your first impressions? Now I always see you as, it's almost like, disarming, like, are you just setting me up to fool me? And there's an inborn, cynicism, skepticism that I think is widespread that is causing people to do virtual mirroring, where we're looking for figures to model ourselves by so strictly. If they don't fit that character we're illustrating, we disregard them. And I think caught up in that, we throw away a lot of good people. But also it's caused by, people having their own redemption arcs. And speaking on Hulk Hogan, which is, again, it's hard for me to get to this later era, because I'm like, yeah, he started after Hogan's on his best. His daughter having that, she had a music career. That was ridiculous. Like, I could not take that seriously, because I'm sitting there listening to, I remember in middle school trying to listen to this, and I'm like, I just don't like this. I don't like this. And that's when you feel like whatever was going on in their household between him and his daughter was causing an ideological war. And she wanted to break away from that and, again, try other races. So you bring that around him, and I never would have imagined the words and terms that come out of Hulk Hogan, because I'm like, this guy is around all types of people. He got money. He's successful. He's traveled the world. Why would he say racist things when he's in the car listening to Jeezy? I'm in college at the time, and I love that song. I put on for my city. Me and my homie used to play that, and we'd go on a road trip, drive all the way to Ann Arbor from Detroit, and that was us just getting hyped. So hearing him play that song, I'm like, he appreciates that. But to know that it felt like he was kind of clowning an entire, his opinion on other people's, and it really was so. And then, as of late, his endorsement of Donald J. Trump, which comes with a whole litany of whatever you want to attach to that man right now. There you go. It doesn't shine on me. And I hear a lot of younger people seeing that because it's the immediacy of history to them. He wasn't a good person, so they cussing him out, they spitting on his name, and here we had a whole section to reminisce. I can't disregard that. It's hard for me to disregard that. It really is.
Let me ask you a question. We've had a lot of wrestlers pass away. Some of them not in the greatest light. Hogan, we can say he's in an entirely different category. Most people have him on Mount Rushmore. When you think about the culture itself, the wrestling culture itself, does this affect the business moving forward at all to you? Does it change the way that they move and do business? And do you think that this is going to shift the mindset of how people were looking at him later on in his days? Because a lot of people were, and I read the comment sections a lot, especially when they announced that the man was not doing well. People were like, man, he was the most overrated wrestler in the world. Go ahead and get rid of him. And people, you know how the comment section is. They cruel. They don't give two shits. So, I mean, how do you see things moving forward after this?
That's a good question. And I'm going to take this in two halves. First, the comment section itself, calling anything overrated is overrated. I think a whole list of personality traits are put on like shirts in social media. So people will pick a role and play on that role in the comment section, talk about people they hear a lot about. Hulk Hogan's a notable figure. You're going to hear about him, like overrated or not. You're going to hear about a man who's been in the business since 77. Okay. And he's fought everybody you know. So whoever you know ain't ish compared to Hulk Hogan. So call him overrated if you want. He's going to bring the crowd. But he was getting up there in age. Remember, he came back at 60 years old. I mean, that's the time you should be looking after your grandkids. Period. You should be concerned with your grandkids after 70. Take your time, sit down, enjoy the rest of your body and your mind are now departed. So you have to take care of what's left of your body so your mind can at least try and experience, I wouldn't say enjoy, but experience the later half of your years. I don't think that was granted to you. But on the other side, you talk about the business. I think that really went with Vince McMahon. And that is a whole thing with Vince McMahon that I think up there with the change of WWF, up there with the change, that whole cultural shift, Vince McMahon and his controversy, that ship sailed. So this is just a sign that those years are behind us, and whatever we're in now, and we look around and it's been 20 years. It's been almost 25 years. A whole person's lifetime, young person's lifetime that grew up and didn't experience any of what we're talking about at all. It's the same feeling I felt when I was watching as a young age and hearing about Andre the Giant, except what Andre the Giant left behind in pop culture, movies, and graffiti was a great man. That was a great person. And the stories people talk about being in his presence were just like, this guy was kind. He was a barrel of laughs. You take him to the bar and he's drinking, place down, and have great stories. Macho Man too, great stories. He was in a bar. Some people talk about I met him in a bar, and he was on. It was great, but you don't hear anything like that about Hulk Hogan. Not in his latter years at all. I even brought up him in the show. He's driving in the car, listening to Jeezy, and you're like, this is the same guy? Like, one, I never pictured you listening to that kind of music. Two, I was on the fence thinking, if you're listening to that, you have an appreciation for it, but then hearing his other inclinations, that was truly disappointing, because you're just like, you're better than that. Or maybe that was my misunderstanding, right? Like, you feel betrayed. How am I supposed to take that, bro? Like, you can't be racist. You're better than that. But apparently he was very human. and he was good at what he did to at least make you believe that, across the table, The Rock and Stone Cold Steve Austin, as people, have done what Hulk Hogan didn't do. When they go out there, they're really good people. They don't just act like that and get caught up in their money and fame. The business didn't swallow their soul. Steve Austin seemed like, I'm just doing this wrestling thing. I get, you know what I'm saying? Like, I always felt like, I'm just doing this wrestling thing. I'm good at it, sure, whatever. But when I go back to my family, that's who I'm doing it for. That's who I'm doing it for. And trying to be a better man for my family, not just this big blowhard. And Hulk Hogan seemed conflicted with that. Like, he really did seem like he wanted to be bigger as a wrestler, and he tried film and all this other stuff, and it didn't really bolster each other. But then the show opened up his personal life, and you were like, dude, you're not really a great person. Like, you're kind of bad. You're kind of terrible and fake. And again, the business going with Vince McMahon's controversy, it's like, that was a different time. That was filled with some characters that I don't think they really were trying to be that good. Again, it's hard for me to say it because I did not see that. I did not see that like, because that's a serious thing. Somebody coming out to be bigoted when they're supposed to try to be a hero for everybody, that's a great disappointment. You can't be that big and be small-minded. It's like contradiction. So, yeah, no, I don't, it will never be that again. Ever again. Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna be honest. One thing that I got from his life, right? Only one person can judge that man's heart at the end of the day. I know we work around people, we date people, we have friends and family, and things happen and we kind of condemn people because of stuff that's going on with them that has nothing to do with us, but it affects us because we are connected to them
Right.
in some way. And it's like, stone them to death until life hits, the casket closes, and you realize that none of that stuff was as serious as you thought it was.
Right.
I do not have a single ounce of rage, anger, resentment towards a single soul that I've come across in life that did wrong by me. We fell out, none of that. Why? Because at the end of the day, they're human. And on top of that, I can admit that I've done things to people too.
Mhm.
And it altered their life. Whether or not I know it did or didn't, I had to self-reflect and dig to realize that I played a role in some things too. So how dare I say something to them when I did something to somebody else?
Mhm.
That's when you start realizing, oh, I might be a little more boxed in than I thought I was. Maybe
Yeah.
I needed to look through the eyes of someone else to get a broader perspective of how we treat people and ourselves in all reality. You
Absolutely.
because you can say you love yourself and you're this, that, and the third until you realize that your actions don't really reflect that in other people's reactions to you. So it's
Mhm.
like humbling, very humbling. I I,
Absolutely.
un- I understand that that man did what he did and said what he said, and I've done my own reactions to the WWF for being racist to black wrestlers, and I've
All of
shared
them.
my opinions on it. But at the end of the day, it's like, well, they're human, and
Right.
they might be operating from their own skewed perceptions. It's how you decide to handle it and what you do with the information once you get it.
Mhm. Yeah. And a lot of this is framed because we were children. I mean, between you and I, we were children. We took what they gave us without really the capacity to critically think about it. I mean, some of the titles they had were very racially stereotypical. Just race, probably something short of racist, but at the same time, they were there to be sort of cultural mascots for the crowd that they drew. Like, I don't know why, to be honest with you, I don't know why I love Tatanka so much. Maybe because he was a cool dude to me. And again, growing up in a Jamaican household, living in an American culture, I was the bridge for my parents. I could understand American culture as an observer, but also as a participant. So I I know historically it's Native Americans first. So I'm seeing somebody like Tatanka in there, one, as a Native American. So I like the diversity. I like anybody that's diverse. That I mean, like, the world is huge. I want to see diversity. I don't want to just see white people. I don't want to see just black people. I want to see diversity. That's strength to me because we got all types of people. That's, you don't cook with just salt, pepper. You want all type of seasonings. You want a whole different course of humanity represented. And again, it's the roles he picked. Like, he was noble in character, so he always stood up for himself. He always stood up for his allies, and he never went out of his way to make someone look like trash. So that early on stuck to me and kind of foiled the characters of other people that came after. Like, Razor Ramon had a character change, turned to Scott Hall, and that was, you know what I'm saying, written in the storylines to polarize the fan base, and then that whole era changing. Like you saying, people change. I'm still learning every day as I get older how deeply true that is. How people will start off as this, you know, great person in your eyes. And then towards the end of it, it's a complete 180. And nothing like this dude I could point to like readily has done so great. You know, he was an amazing person, a hero. The song, I'm a Real American, I feel ashamed to play it because it represents now an ideology I don't subscribe to. Like, it felt really patriotic and good, felt like you felt proud about the country of diversity you're in. And now you play it and it represents everything but, you know? And it's a group of people singing that and shouting it at you rather than singing it and embracing with you this idea, this dream. So it's crazy how life does that. I want to see that lesson with my eyes before I embrace it. It seems like it happened to him and he just said, sure, why not? I'm going to be a bad guy. I'm going to be a villain. And didn't go, is this how life is? Is this something? Do we have to be, you know, do we have to be terrible like that? And it just don't sit right with me. Like it's hard for me to talk to because I'm like, I just don't personally subscribe to that. And I rebuke that. I want to be everything that I saw as good in the world, even if it's highly optimistic, highly ideal. But it's something that religions base themselves on as a guidepost so that we don't constantly fall back on bad things because they're really there. Like, that's easy. That to me is easy to do. Won't make you stand out, won't make you a great person. It won't. Just no, it'll make you hate it like this guy is right now. People in the comments, people gonna be on all week, next week, as long as they can remember. My God. And you're just thinking, but this dude has an amazing legacy. He helped people. He gave money to foundations and nonprofits that help children and all that was spit on. Society is crazy, man. Society is crazy. Yeah, society is crazy, bro. I have nothing to say to that. That's crazy.
This is my final thoughts on all of it. In a nutshell, for the foreseeable future, I guarantee you're going to see memes, you're going to see remixes, you're going to see animations created to mock him. Some are going to celebrate him, some are going to be satire, some of them are going to be just extremely disrespectful. That's just the way that the world is at this point. Them same people who are going to monetize off of that are the same ones condemning him, but are using the same hatred and the same attitude and characteristics that they are against in the first place, which that's a complete hypocrisy to me.
Absolutely, that's just the time you and I are living in that just doesn't sit right. I cannot attempt to mesh because too much of me would be lost in trying to fit in that shape. That I don't want to say box, but it seems like they confine to a configuration. They never change, and it's very simple. It's not a complex or collaborative type of model. It's just like it's this little tiny dot when the rest of the world exists and nothing more. And yeah, to finalize on it again, he was a Kid Choice Awards winner. So like he Boys and Girls Club Alumni Hall of Fame. Like this guy was a representative hero to people, man. And we're gonna see that type of ridicule. I think it's more important to say it's one thing to be ridiculed after your death. You can't defend yourself. And then all that people can respond to is the history, which is what we're talking about. That you can't erase that. That happened. It's there. It impacted everybody. And despite how it ended, we still know how the story went. And then there's what's going on in your life while the story's being written. And we can point to people that already see that kind of level of cynicism and negativity being thrown at them constantly. So much so, I think that's all that they will be known and represented for. And I think that to the negative extreme, those are the worst ones. Those ones we could say Hulk Hogan probably wasn't all the way at that point, but definitely he chose his side. You know, he's gonna be represented out there as that. So rest in peace to Hulk Hogan. I'm still thinking of Suburban Commando. I gotta watch that again. Like just seeing the dude in the space suit, and you know he's with the kid at the corner convenience store trying to figure out how the Earth works. Or the episode, what movie was it? He's on a motorcycle and they have a scene of a dude throwing his dog into the water. Bruh, cinema history. You know what I'm saying? I will not forget Hulk Hogan for those roles. Thunder in Paradise. I have on a YouTube playlist of all these TV shows I grew up with, the intro theme. And I'm gonna play it again just to remember Homeboy. That was the time.
I'm going to be doing rewatches of him and Malcolm Jamal Warner. Actually, there's a lot of people I need to go back and give flowers to be honest with you. As far as that Kids' Choice Awards, they gave Tyler something, so I don't know how serious I would take that. You know,
after 2008, brother, all these award shows, we already know the jig. After 2008, we know that there's a big business behind it, and they writing checks, and we're over here being cynical, and kids just don't know any better. That we build up business. Okay, so I'm not even remotely disagreeing with you. Like I'm just like, we know. Goes all the way up to the Academy Awards and the Oscars, even the Grammys aren't immune to that. So come on.
Yeah. But my thoughts and prayers go out to his family, to the companies, to everybody who grew up on Hogan. His memory is going to live on, man. Through me and through everybody else who still rock with him. My only message here is stop being so judgy, man.
Curiosity first, brother. Curiosity first.
Before you go condemning other people, go ahead and look at yourself and
that right back at you.
And keep it on 100. Are you as pure as people think you are? Probably not.
Nah. Nope.
So,
I leave it at that. I definitely leave it at that, but try to humble yourself first and foremost. And all those blessings that you're putting out will come back to you 100-fold.
With that being said, we about to get up out of here. Happy Friday. Pre-Friday is around the corner. I hope everybody has a blessed night. Drive safe. And yeah. Rest in peace.
Let me tell you something, brother. When you walk in this beat shop, I'm surprised that you still got the shirt on, Jack.
Well, let me tell you something, Hulkster. The first time I met you, I was only 3 years old, but now I'm 6 years old. So now we gotta take it to a bigger level, man. Just like when you press that no good stinking giant over your head and slam them right through the table in front of 93,000 Hulkamaniacs. So what are they gonna do when the power of the Hulkster and the Roaster and the dual 24-inch pythons run wild on you?
Whoa! Man. Oh, God, sweet. Man, I see this as an opportunity for me to get involved, to get back, and like I said, quit sitting on the couch, to get involved with a bunch of powerful athletes, that, I can relate to as far as championship material, guys that are on top of their game. And I couldn't pass on it. The idea was so exciting that I got a chance to be involved with all these young people and help guide them in any way, especially, to make them huge stars and create a future for them. People might be surprised, but wrestling is wrestling, brother. Because before I got started in the wrestling business, back in 1976, wrestling was a lot different back then. They put me through 2 years of hell and a couple of years in Japan going through the dojo. So I have so much respect for hooks, submissions, amateur wrestling, you name it, because I got broken the old school way, that I just jumped at the chance to get involved in this, because I actually believe we're on track to be as powerful